Hello, a world of Warcraft. This is Sinan with the WoW Dungeon, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you a hunter talent and glyph guide for PvP. PvP, not PvE. And I'm doing this guide because I was originally doing it in Warlords of Dreanor pre-patch, but it's been long enough that I can feel comfortable doing it now that we pretty much know the direction of where hunters are going now. Before I do that, check out this new sexy mini-map that I got. I got so sick and tired of seeing the garrison button just plastered in the middle of my mini-map, and I was like, how do I remove it? So I got this add-on called Sexy Maps. I'll link the thing in the description box. And it is awesome. It's pretty sweet. I can change, the color of this. I can remove these buttons or make them hide until I hover. You can just pretty much customize the minimap in no other way, and it's pretty sweet. So let's get started. First and foremost, probably the one of the most important and easily overlooked by a lot of guides that I've seen out there is your pet. Your pet should pretty much always be spec'd into cutting. And you might hear me start sounding a little nasally. That's because I'm getting over a sinus infection. Reason why you should always go cutting is for Roar of Sacrifice. I've explained this ability countless of times, but if you're not familiar with it, get familiar with it. And even for BM, the reason why this is important is because for BM, Bullheaded is a 3-minute cooldown trinket, and it removes all movement impairing effects on your pet. So that's super helpful, and it's super helpful to bind. I have mine bound to Alt F4, or excuse me, Alt F4, Alt 4. Or Alt F, excuse me, and it's super critical that you keep your pet on a cutting. Now let's get rid of Rotten over here, and let's go look over Hunter talents. So this is pretty much the go-to talent tree for PvP. Now we're going to go over these one by one. First, Post Haste. The reason why Post Haste is so good is the utility it provides. It's on a 20-second cooldown, and for 8 seconds, you get to move 60% faster. With Aspect of the Cheetah, that is huge. Let's see, when it goes on cooldown, we'll be able to see, right now, my speed is at, where is it? Movement speed is at 140%. When I cast this, it goes up to 170%. That's freaking sweet. 170% movement speed is amazing. On top of that, it also breaks roots and snares when you use it. Although you can get root and snared afterwards. This is great because let's say you're rooted, or if a healer is far away and you need to trap him, this is a great way to get over there, get on top of him, and just lay a trap down. Or if you're not using Trap Launcher, it's a great way to just be able to run really fast and drop a trap. Boom. Real simple, real easy. Narrowscape is also good. It gives you pretty much a root. However, it's proven not as good for me in this season, just because the utility that I get from this is so great. So I pretty much always stick with Post Haste. The only time I might switch over is if I'm versing a Rogue and a DK, or Warrior, so those three classes, because they get so debilitated by roots, especially if they're not dispelled immediately. They can't dispel roots on their own. The only one that can is Rogues with Cloak of Shadow, but using a Cloak of Shadow just to dispel a root is not always the smartest thing to do. So I pretty much always take Post Haste, always, because it allows you to catch up to people, it allows you to run after people, allows you to run away from people. It's such a great utility. I would always recommend it. Now, here is the tier 2 is where you can switch things up. You can go Binding Shot or Wyvern Sting. Personally, I like to go Binding Shot when I'm playing by myself or in 2s, and the reason why is because there's so much utility that you can be granted from Binding Shot. Specifically, being able to explosive trap people out of Binding Shot so that they always get hit by it, or to Binding Shot and then trap off Binding Shot. That is always really great because then it stuns them and you can keep them there. On top of that, let's say you stun one guy and then you have somebody else, you can pull them around to Binding Shot because it stays on the ground for quite some time, and you can pull them around towards a Binding Shot, and if they're being smart about it and dodging it, you can always explosive them, trap them right through it, and it's great to be able to pull those things off. Wyvern Sting is much better in a situation like 3s. as long as you're not DRing. It does diminishing returns with your traps, so you have to be careful of that, but it's great to be able to CC another target and be able to trap another target. So you can pretty much have 2 targets in 6 to 8 second CC. The third tier, Spirit Bond is pretty much the go-to now in this season, and the reason is because your trinkets, your PvP trinkets, grant you 10% less damage anyway, and that does not stack. It's not additive, so it doesn't go up to 20%. It goes up to like I think you multiply it, so it probably go up by like 15. So it's 15%, or whatever the multiplicative value is for Ironhawk. So Ironhawk really isn't that useful anymore. Spirit Bond is definitely the go-to talent for this tree. Now, Thrill the Hunt. Personally, Thrill the Hunt is exceptional for each and every single hunter class. Now remember, I'm talking about every single hunter class. So we're talking about Marksman, BM, Beastmaster, Survival. Thrill the Hunt's the way to go. I won't get into the specific details of when to use Thrill the Hunt, because I will do that when I create guides for each and every single hunter class. Yes, I will be doing that. So pretty much Thrill Hunt's the way to go for each and every single one. The reason is that Arcane Shot is very expensive, as is Aim Shot for Marksman, and when you get those procs, it really cuts down on having those abilities eat up your focus, because you do need to use them for every single spec. Let's see. The next one is Murder of Crows. Murder of Crows, hands down. It does more damage than all 3 of these talents combined. Remember, this is patch 6.0. They are buffing Stampede next patch, but the damage that you can get from Murder of Crows every minute is huge. As Survival, it is your biggest DPS cooldown. And even for BM too, I'd still recommend taking a Murder of Crows. It just does so much damage. It's a physical bleed, so it does not get dispelled, and it'll keep rogues out of stealth, and for 15 seconds, it is just a massive crap ton of damage. Your level 90 tier, Glyph Shot. Hands down, Glyph Shot all the way. You should almost never take Barrage. Barrage has little to no utility outside of BGs. And the reason is because Barrage will break traps and eats up way too much focus to be utilized in an arena setting. You can really be hindering yourself by using Barrage, and you'd really have to manage yourself a lot more with Barrage for very little benefit. Glaive Toss is exceptional because A, it's a physical, it's physical damage, so for survival that's great, and B, it creates a slow every 15 seconds that can be used outside of your concussive shot and frozen ammo. Third, for marksman and survival, exotic munitions. In PvP, unless you're doing BGs and you've got like a pocket healer or something like that, maybe RBGs, you pretty much want to avoid Lone Wolf. I was hoping Lone Wolf would be, you know, you could check it out. I mean, it's pretty sweet. I mean, 30% extra damage from some of your abilities, that's pretty sweet. But utility you lose from those abilities like I mentioned earlier, like Roar of Sacrifice, you lose Master's Call, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. You become way too vulnerable, and your abilities to kite as a hunter get severely diminished when you take Lone Wolf. So you take exotic munitions, and pretty much the go-to one for this, never take a fire. There's no point ever taking fire. Poison ammo, the damage is not that great. You always take frozen ammo. Now, it's a little OP, personally, I think, but I would definitely recommend it because it's pretty much a guaranteed slow all the time on whoever you're hitting, meaning that you can free up your concussive shot for somebody else, and that means you get to slow 2 targets at once. You don't even have to think about slowing your target, and it's a 50% slow for 4 seconds whenever you use an auto shot, so that is exceptional. Now, for BM, take Adaptation. So this gets replaced with Adaptation. Adaptation is the way to go, hands down. It's that easy. So it's actually pretty clear-cut when it comes to PvP. These are pretty much the clear-cut abilities that you want to be using for any hunter. Take these and you should be set. Some honorable mentions is Power Shot. Maybe that, you know, that could be fun in like a BG setting, but you should almost never take power shot in an arena setting. Never take power shots. It's just a total waste. The damage is horrible. And the knockback DRs with your explosive trap, and because you can't just double knock them back, survival get a 12-second trap. So there's really no point in DRing your explosive trap and losing the utility of Glyph Toss. And not only that, but it's very cheap. And you have to sit there and cast explosive power shot. So always go Glyph Toss, but it does get an honorable mention for being an exceptionally fun talent when you can't use it. Now, glyphs. Glyphs, the ones that I mainly roll is Camo Glyph, but that is personal preference. I'm going to list off the main glyphs that you should pretty much rotate through. Glyph of Camouflage, Explosive Trap, Glyph of Animal Bond, and Glyph of Master's Call, a Glyph of Solace. You can also use Glyph of Snake Trap, and I would say maybe Glyph of Disengage. So let's go over each and every single one. Glyph of Camouflage, this is great because it allows, if you're playing with a stealth class like a Feral or a Rogue or maybe a Resto Druid, getting an opener and finding another class that's in stealth, like let's say you're versing a Rogue, this is a great way to be able to get an opener on a class that really relies on openers. It also just really helps setting up. So this is really great because A, you can find other classes that are hidden, and B, you can really surprise your enemy, which can be, for a class that has traps like this, how helpful is that? You could be trapping and they don't even see where it's coming from. That's exceptional. Now, the must-have in every single setting, no matter what it is Explosive Trap. Explosive Trap, instead of doing damage, it just knocks them back. That is an exceptional ability because you can have so much utility with that. Always go with the Explosive Trap. Always have that up. You should never be taking it out, no matter what. Even if you're just playing against casters and you don't need to kite them, being able to put people in a bad position because of an Explosive Trap or knocking people into traps, knocking people through binding shots, so much utility in that. Make sure to take it. Glyph of Animal Bond is great because it allows people to heal you a lot better. It's a 10% increase in healing and effective healing on you and your pet. So definitely take that when you're playing with a healer. It's exceptionally useful. The next one is Disengage. The reason why I mentioned Disengage and why it gets an honorable mention is because you can do some really cool things with it. Your Disengage, while it does give you a great travel distance back, you can actually go higher with this glyph, and you can actually utilize it to jump onto another, it's called a Z-axis, which means, you know, like the three-dimensional, up and down pretty much. And you can be able to actually move on to other levels. I haven't used it as much as I should, and I would like to start toying around with it, because if you can screw people around with this, oh man, the hilarity that will ensue would be great. Master's Call. This increases the duration of your Master's Call by 4 seconds. That's an 8-second immunity to all snares and roots. How could you say no to that versus things like healer, versus like druids who have a lot of roots, or anybody that wants to make you sit still for a long period of time? Great, great glyph. Another honorable mention is Med Pet, but unless you're BM, you don't really need to be worrying about this since people aren't going to be attacking your pet very much. Snake Trap. This is a pretty good thing that I haven't really been messing with as much. Excuse me. And the reason why it's good is because it replaces your freezing trap, or excuse me, your ice trap. And the reason why that's good is because you can be able to continuously use your ice trap, excuse me, your freezing trap. I get confused on the two. You can continuously use your freezing trap and also be able to use snake trap, which will root and snare the person that you're hitting. So versus like a DK or a rogue, you can be able to freeze a healer and be able to root the rogue or DK so they don't get away, because sometimes they'll just run, and I've had instances where they just run away from me and I can't do damage. Very annoying. And lastly, Glyph of Solace. This removes all damage over time effects on its target. If you know you're going to be playing with a comp that you do a lot of swapping, this is absolutely essential. And as survival, this is very good, because let's say you're in a 1v1 situation as survival and you need to trap somebody, you're going to have tons of bleeds up. So you're going to want to be able to remove those bleeds and get a full trap. So this is pretty essential in PvP. And lastly, let's also do this because it's very important. Aspect of the cheetah, Glyph of Aspect of the cheetah, I definitely recommend this because A, it allows you to keep Aspect of the cheetah up. It has more benefit. You don't want to put this up without the Glyph because you'll get dazed for 4 seconds if you don't have it. This allows you to not be dazed anymore, and I macroed into my disengage, so every time I disengage I get Aspect of the cheetah, and instead of having it, you know, daze me, instead it just gets removed. So definitely pick up that ASAP if you can. So that's my guide on talents and glyphs. I should soon be creating some guides for survival PvP, Beastmaster PvP, as I've been learning how to play Beastmaster. And man, it is nasty. It is nasty what you can do with Bestial Wrath. I can't even. It's crazy. And then I'll also be doing a marksman one too. So I'll have all specs covered in a PvP setting. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, want to comment, hit the like button, subscribe. I'm going to be trying to promote my channel a lot more. I'd like to start broadening my viewer base. So be on the lookout for more channels, more videos from my channel. I should be able to start producing a lot more content, and I really do want to put more content out because I really enjoy the fan interaction that I've been having. There's been some people who have been saying exceptionally nice things, like Christian Curry, who's subscribed to me. Is very nice, and it really motivates me to continue is when people say really nice things. So I'll see you next time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Adios.